Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the story of Jean-Jacques Rousseau and how one man's private pain, his inner turmoil, literally sparked a revolution that changed the world.
Yeah, man is born free and everywhere he is in chains. You've heard that one, right? It's huge. This single line sent shockwaves through the establishment. But believe it or not, the story of how he got there, that's even more incredible.
So, how does that happen? How does one man's personal struggle explode into an idea that shatters an entire age? Well, to get it, you have to get him. We need to look at the immense pressure that was building up inside his mind his whole life. All right, let's get into it. Section 1, A Life Under Pressure. And when we say pressure, we mean it. Rousseau's early life wasn't just tough. It was a nonstop story of strain. I mean, look at this. Right from the start, his world is just loss. His mom dies right after he's born. His dad abandons him when he's 10. Then, as a young guy, he just bounces from one failed job to another. Every single one of those rejections just added another layer of pressure, building and building inside him. So there's actually a really cool way to think about this from our source material. It's called the Brain Kinematics Model, or BKM for short. And it gives us this term, inner compression. Picture it like this. All that pain, all that rejection, it doesn't just disappear. It gets stored up in your mind like these tightly coiled springs, just building up energy, waiting for something to happen. And for Rousseau, this compression was coming from three directions at once. You've got the emotional loss, right? That created this deep, deep longing to just belong somewhere. Then there's the social rejection, making him feel like he was always on the outside looking in. And on top of all that, intellectually, he was a total misfit among the big shot thinkers in Paris. So you've got these three massive forces all squeezing him, compressing his mind until, well, something just had to give.
And that brings us to section 2, the epiphany at Vincennes. Because that breaking point, it wasn't a slow burn. Oh no, it was an explosion. One single dramatic moment that changed everything.
The year is 1749. Picture this. Rousseau is walking down a road to visit his friend, the famous writer Diderot, who's been thrown in prison. And just out of nowhere, on that walk, bam, he's hit by what he later called a blinding insight, an epiphany so powerful it literally rewired his brain and his view of the world. It was like two massive gears clicking into place. All his personal pain, the loneliness, the feeling of being an outcast, it suddenly connected perfectly with all the problems he saw in society around him. You know, the insane inequality, the corruption, the suffocating social ladder. It all just made sense. And the result of that click? A total cognitive revolution, a brand new core belief that would anchor everything he wrote from that day forward. And what was it? Simple, but radical. Humans aren't born bad. We're born good. It's society that messes us up. Okay, section 3, a new social contract. So this huge internal rebalancing act, it wasn't just going to stay inside his head. No way. Rousseau took this new idea of balance and projected it out onto the world, essentially drawing up a whole new blueprint for how society should work. And you can see this idea everywhere in his big works. Think of them as release valves for all that societal pressure. The social contract? That's about the general will acting like a giant shock absorber for society. His book on education, Emile? That's all about letting kids grow naturally instead of forcing them into corrupt molds. Even his autobiography, Confessions, is a testament to this cycle, taking in all that strain and pouring it back out as something new. This leads to Section 4, Society Under Stress. So let's zoom out. How does this personal model of strain and release apply to a whole country? Well, what Rousseau was doing really was drawing a map showing how a society can go from being fragile and brittle to being resilient and strong. And it all comes down to a choice between two types of systems. On the one hand, you've got the old regimes, the monarchies. They try to resist pressure with brute force. What happens? They become brittle. They shatter. Just look at the French Revolution. But on the other hand, you have the kind of adaptive system Rousseau was dreaming of. It doesn't resist the pressure, it redistributes it through the general will. It's flexible. It can bend without breaking. Now, for Section 5, An Age of Thinkers. It's super important to remember Rousseau wasn't alone in this, not at all. He was part of this incredible symphony of Enlightenment minds, and every single one of them was feeling the pressure of the times and trying to figure out a solution in their own way. Just look at the other big names.
You had Voltaire, using his wit like a fine-tuned regulator. You had Montesquieu, acting like an architect, creating new flow channels with the separation of powers. Diderot was like a neural connector, trying to spread knowledge everywhere. But here's the key difference. All of them were trying to fix the existing system, to regulate it, redirect it. Rousseau? He did something way more radical. He threw out the old system's core principles and redefined what balance even meant.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway here? What does this all mean? Well, this is the heart of Rousseau's legacy, and it's something that connects his world to ours in a really powerful way.
It really boils down to this three-step process. Step 1, he absorbed a lifetime of stress, both personal and social. Step 2, all that pressure forced a complete rewrite of his core beliefs, a total mental reboot. And step 3, he projected that new, rebalanced inner world outward as a plan for a better society. It's just a perfect example of how the most personal struggles can become the fuel for the biggest ideas.
He basically became, as our source material puts it, a carrier wave. He took the signal of his own inner brokenness and broadcast it as a way to fix a broken society. Think about that. He literally transformed his pain into a political philosophy. And that's the thought I want to leave you with. If these massive, world-changing ideas are forged in the fire of personal hardship and social pressure, it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What future revolutions are quietly being built inside people all around us right now?